All right. Welcome back, YouTube and Twitch. Welcome back. Welcome back. I got to remember my camera is here now, not down here, even though my monitor is over here to my right. All right. So you can see that I upgraded my wardrobe. Okay. Nice little outfit. And I got the dancing moves. So we are balling. Absolutely balling. I wonder. Let's see. All right. Hope everyone is having a good night or a good day, whatever time zone you're in. Yeah. Let's block it. Apparently they fixed that collision, which is kind of nice. So now you kind of go through. Man, this is taking me forever to kill this. There we go. Pretty sure they changed that cooldown. Whoa. Really need to figure out the movement for this class. Wish they would get rid of that kick. The kick's kind of stupid there at the end. Let's see. Guess I'll go to this one next. I wonder. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, wait, there we go. Now, why did that not show up the first time? Weird. Okie dokie. Need to go Super Saiyan mode. Get these rift bosses completed. Tanya, I don't know where the Pegasus has been at my whole life. Like I've always had the Doom until they gave away a free T9, and then I decided to get the Pegasus, and man, Pegasus is so much nicer than the Doom. The Doom looks cool aesthetically, but being able to fly like this is just so nice. I wish you could just fly the entire time. Uh, oh. Where am I going? Well, I was going the wrong way. Oh well. I'm gonna put some white noise on. Kind of the podcast from last time.
That much. So yeah, it kind of feels like I do think it's a little bit of a cop out to bring Nanamo back.
I'm a big fan of Nanamo. I like her. I like how her story played out. Yeah. But Moonbreeder, she did the white crystal thing. That's her whole job. Bye. And if you're like attractive to Urianger, I think there's something wrong with you because he only likes dust and fairies.
Wow.
Right? That's the limit of his excitement. Is dusty books and fairies. Like that's it.
Yeah. No, she saved that entire part of Realm Reborn for me. No. I'm with you on Stormblood is definitely slow.
Been a little toasty in here.
From Doma Castle onward, I really enjoyed. So I'm.
What do you think of the Suyu storyline?
Yatsuyu?
Like, yeah, I mean, she clearly got shot and died. Yes. But I didn't believe it. I was like, I didn't believe it because they wouldn't kill Gosetsu. So I was definitely huffing the this is not done by a long shot. But yeah, I think that whole storyline was one of my favorite they ever did.
Yes, same. I loved the Yatsuyu storyline. It was dark in all the best ways that didn't feel like it was just for shock value. Like it didn't feel like it betrayed what is otherwise a pretty uplifting and positive story.
Mm-hmm. It was handled very well. I only bring it
Need
up
to update my church buffs too.
World of Warcraft tried to do something similar with Alexstrasza, and it did not land because it just doesn't have that care and detail given to it like the FF14 storytellers have. They just kind of threw a kind of similar abuse story into a WoW text, a quest text.
Yeah,
and it's like, and it was a bit of an uproar in the WoW community of like,
wrong mob.
Like, what are we doing here? Like, you can't just throw this in out of nowhere. Whereas when I was like, I kind of been through a similar story with Suyu, which was way darker and really, really heavy in certain places, and raised a lot of questions, like, is it the same person? If they haven't got the memory, is it that person anymore? Like, can you persecute that person? The person still did. It raised a lot of discussions, certainly with, like, streams and things like that.
Oh,
sure
what?
Individuals who played it going through their minds, like, well, what's the correct course here? It felt like a Black Mirror episode, essentially.
Yeah, and I've been quoted on stream talking about how I hate Amnesia as a story.
Okay, guess I can't frontal block that.
Though, right?
It's literally attributed to soap operas. Yeah. Like, it's attributed to low rent, cheap storytelling. Yeah. And so, yeah, I was like, when it happened, you can probably go back to streams, I'm sure. I was like, oh no, but they do so many interesting things with it.
Yo, leave my horse alone.
It keeps getting worse. That's the thing about it. It keeps getting
leave
worse.
My horse alone.
I think the joke we had playing through Shadowbringers is like, oh, somebody's happy's here. I'm
already yawning.
What happens to them that's horrible and grief-stricken and nightmare fuel. And lo and behold, it always did. 100% of the time. It's like, oh, are you smiling? Don't want to do that. You're probably eating people.
Kyle, you're in your literal big think emote pose. What's going through your head?
I'm just enjoying. Like, this is like watching two Lokis argue. I love it.
I wonder what y'all think about the dances.
The exact same journey. We're making content about World of Warcraft. Watching
they're cool,
on which characters are awful,
but
and then come back together. This is all good. This is all great. It's an amusing.
Having to
this is I love this kind
pay.
I think it's okay to talk about what you don't like in Final Fantasy 14, and
for them though,
something I don't like. Some people make me feel like I should have never opened my mouth.
But I don't know. I don't know how about. I don't know how I feel about that. Paying for dances.
At the end of the day, and it's gonna vary. So
I think it's
guess at the end of the day, it doesn't really affect the gameplay.
That's why you can have these. Can you have these discussions about any character in WoW? Do you like Brawl? I guess.
Jaina's had some pretty cool arcs over the years when they remembered she was a character.
Exactly. So these characters like disappear. They come back. Yeah. Like, where's?
I like the ending, the little piece.
Like, people bring up Warcraft 3 a lot.
I think Jaina was the best part of BFA. Like,
oh gosh, I'm probably gonna lag.
Because BFA started much maligned.
Going through the
Sylvanas
cities.
arc,
Let's
which
look
I
at my
love.
frame drop here.
One of my favorite characters.
I am at 84
but
frames.
I do really like the Jaina stuff.
Not
because
too
I
bad
think
so
it was
far.
One of the better WoW arcs is Jaina.
98, 100.
Flying boats is dumb.
I'm the
So crazy.
I mean, the Daughter of the Sea video is great, but the actual Jaina stuff I've never been a fan of.
If you think about it for too long, yes, it starts to fall apart, but it's just cool. Rule of cool. I think the flying boat is cool.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, right? In bits and bobs, it's fine. Like their cutscenes are great. I can't deny BFA's intro announcement video is one of the best video game trailers of all time. It's awesome. It's so good. But I have to.
I've had these rift bosses for like a week now that I haven't done. So I feel like I need to get them done.
When Sylvanas goes Banshee and yells for the Horde, and it's like she's just using the Horde that entire expansion. She doesn't believe in any of that. And then you go back to like the old stories, and she actually gave a shit about the Forsaken, and she was actually a pragmatic ruler, and they just threw all that out the window for the sake of making a crazy Daenerys storyline.
Well, she had a mixed brain situation. I think if you follow along with it, she had personality splits, and this bit was over here.
But the crazy thing about it, though, is like how well it worked for content creation. There are so many holes in World of Warcraft in this book and that book that there are channels entirely dedicated to World of Warcraft lore, whereas Final Fantasy doesn't really have that because it's all just kind of in the game, and people go, well, what's the story of stuff? Well, go New Game Plus it. You know,
go play it.
Go play
you
the
don't
game.
need it explaining to you at all. If you didn't, I mean, there are certain elements we picked up on that with discussion that people didn't get, which was cool, like the
Double jump bay.
These similarities between
Double jump bay.
crap, I'm forgetting the names, and I'm going to get shouted at for it. But in Heaven's Ward,
Whoa.
the leader, Harry Spelger, and the leader of Ishgard by the end. No.
Emmerich?
Emmerich, yeah. Is that what turns the tide of the Dragon War and convinces Harry Spelger to get involved is that if Harry Spelger they're two different, human and dragon, they live different lives, and Emmerich ties them together by saying we both actually lived similar lives in terms of what we've been through with our parents and the effects
Nice.
of each other. And like that turns it around. It's like we're actually really similar. That conversation, that cutscene is one of my favorite in the entire game. Is Eric explaining that actually we're really similar in this case.
Stuck.
Doing it really well. And like those moments, some people didn't get like how deep that conversation is because it's like 2 lines. Because it's told in a really concise, no fatty kind of way without forcing it down the throat. You know, like
I did get the loot, right?
Here. It works either way, and that got a lot of people got more out of the game after that point. Like, oh, I see, like where this is coming from, and it's fantastic. And I can't relate that to many other games. I have some of those.
Am I going crazy?
Which is why it reached my number 2 spot in my like best RPGs of all time. And Chrono Trigger, the same, which is like that. Those are my top 3. It's like Shadowbringers.
Yeah, I got the loot right. I'm pretty sure I did.
There's a lot of subtlety in how the story's told to not bash you over the head with it and treat you like a moron.
Just in
those moments, I think,
case.
are the best because they prompt so much discussion, which is why we're here now, and also don't require guides and things to tell you about what's going on. I would probably need a guide on the WoW story, like not Dragonflight. I've kept kind of up to date on that, but for everything else, I don't know what happened in half of those games. I killed N'Zoth, I killed all those bosses, but
Yeah, I have no idea of the lore either. Cannot tell you WoW's lore. I did go to the theater and watch one of the movies. That was cool.
Books, and I was invested, and then all the Sylvanas stuff happened. I'm like, oh, I felt like my investment wasn't paid off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's disappointing, right?
Yeah. I had a similar thing with the final Star Wars movie. Like I was reading all the new canon books and everything, and then you literally, they just like threw lore out the window for that 3rd movie. Like,
I'm so glad I've never been a big Star Wars fan because some of blockbusters, those movies were great. It's complete trash.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
It was awesome. It was so good. I was like, oh god, Leia can fly in space. Sick. That's really cool.
What production value? This is wonderful.
Yeah, man. This is awesome. And oh god, grenades can drop like gravity in space. I didn't know that, but whatever. We're gonna walk into a ship now. Sick. We should have just done that.
So that's pretty consistent with how much they give a shit about how physics work in their.
That's a good way to live. I like that lifestyle. Well done.
Yeah, I watched it like Fast and the Furious. Like,
I have no idea where I'm going.
Because I'm a Star Trek guy. Like, I'm so angry at the Star Trek.
I
movies
think
I
I'm maybe going the right way.
But with Star Wars,
I don't know. We'll fly to it. Jump it. Oh, I missed the jump.
Why not? Let's have Han Solo meet Chewie in a prison for some reason.
That is when the science is
Like, that's so cool.
in my opinion, is when they're
I wish I had the
starting to
T10.
your opinion, Mr. Data kind of stuff.
Yeah, you can
That
see
would
why
be
I worked
even
so long.
cooler.
No, this is the good bit. Like, this is about civil issues. It's like, okay, but can we blow? Oh, shh. He's talking about racism. Yeah, this is about racism. Let's
Someone's life
How's
skilling.
Alfie gonna handle this one?
Let's
Killing
see if
some
Harlem
wolves.
actually realizes that she's kind of been
All right.
the instrument of war
We made
all
it.
along. Oh my God, she did.
She did, and she realizes it, and she's still awesome. Why is Candace Sanders' feet like that?
Come here, my dude.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine.
No, it's
Come
vulgar
here, my
souls,
dude.
Particularly the meeting with all the beast tribes, and there's the pan, and it's a joke, like so you can have Emmerich go, "I beg your pardon," but every single leader has a different facial expression to the fishmen yelling because they all have different experiences with fishmen, and it's vulgar. There's no other word for it. Like it is genius, and that's the kind of subtlety you want.
Absolutely. It's something I've enjoyed all the way through, and only reason I actually took part in any of the trade crafts in Final Fantasy XIV was for the story. I haven't done them all. I'm still missing a tank. But it was literally, I want more of the story. Like when the story eventually came to an end for me, and I was like, I'm done. I just need more. And that's when I started looking at these tribes and things like that. Not really craving any of the rewards. It was just that I wanted to experience more story and enjoy it. And please don't let it go away. that's all. Is it over now?
So that one,
there's nothing
that
worse.
one,
You guys are getting there.
and
You
then
guys are in for a rough time. When you reach the end, you have to wait with the rest of the people until the next part.
where's
of
the
comes
other
out.
one
I
at?
think you're grossly underestimating how long we can take to get through.
I know
this
there should be
I'm a
two
star
more.
Andy, big time, but it really
Where's it
was
at?
I actually genuinely considered not playing FF14 again.
Oh, I'm
for
blind.
like 3 years. We actually talked about it because coming back and having it all waiting for you to go. Is so good.
Oh wait.
So when it's piecemeal, you do.
Oh, there's
forget
2
things that
left.
happen in the last bit.
I thought there was 3 left.
You know, because you've had such a long break between.
That's a
them,
rip.
Like you do forget, and you don't get that recap. So you're like, okay, who is this guy again? Like, thankfully, I do pay a lot of attention to it because I enjoy it. But like on occasion, you're like, oh yeah, okay, I remember what they were doing last time. It's a little tricky.
Plus the
I'm
spoiler
really-
delay you have to worry about. You know, you don't get to play on release. You gotta give it 2 weeks or so.
I think we're down to a week now. We agreed 2 weeks. If you hadn't done it in 2 weeks, you were just a slacker and you just
Nice lag.
Oh, the 2 week
we
rule.
tried
So, yeah,
Ooh, look at that.
We had a 2-week rule.
Look at them frame drops.
But I think we've changed it.
My
to a
potato
week now
PC.
because-
Try not to keep up.
On trail, you're 1 week later. We can tune in and watch Preach playing.
Oh, we haven't talked about Dawn Trail yet. Actually, I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do for Dawn Trail. Actually, that's a good question, and that's actually prompted my brain to start.
I feel like it's taking me
thinking
much
way.
longer
I
to
don't know.
We
kill
took
these
some
Dark
questions
Rift
from,
bosses.
Our members only Discord, which we do anytime we have. A
I don't know
guest.
why.
Jesse has been the receiving end of this salvo of questions before, and we got way too many. People are extremely stoked. to
Especially
be
like
here.
compared to my
We're
striker.
very sorry, everybody. There's no way we could have asked all these questions, but some of them are on topic for what we're talking about right here. So I figured we would just kind of slide some of these in here, because we got a question from Midnight in our Discord, and it's pretty, I think, on topic with what we're talking about. It said content creators get fear-mongered to hell and back about finishing the MSQ. You know, the MSQ bump, the MSQ Andy's leaving en masse, etc. How was your experience finishing the MSQ in terms of viewership and content creation?
Okay, it was I have a very laissez-faire attitude towards this stuff. Is I really didn't care. Generally speaking, if I'm
So I guess you
playing the game
can
and
like
I'm having
spam that, huh?
as long as I'm not tanking my career entirely.
I guess as long as you
in
have
terms of
stamina.
Everybody's just turning off, and we're in a really bad way. I'm gonna do whatever I want to do. And
All right,
because
last
not everything
one.
most content
We'll
creators are
open the
in to be able
boxes.
to
Hopefully
do
we'll
that.
get
We're
RNG
fortunate
carried.
to be able to do that.
And then we'll go to Elvia.
So, For me, it was
Giants.
fine, and that actually started to pay off. What I generally find with
see.
content creation and doing Final Fantasy XIV specifically
Giants.
is once you kind of set the ground rules.
Did I spell Giants
which
wrong?
You set yourself and what you're comfortable
I
doing.
did spell Giants wrong.
It's very quickly the audience.
Am I still
who's
spelling it
along
wrong?
for the ride will kind of adjust around you. It's like, okay, if you're gonna not do MSQ now to do all the extremes,
guess I
for
can't
example,
spell.
I'll check in
Oh.
every day until you're doing the MSQ, but I'm probably going to leave after that point.
Primal
You're still doing
Giants.
extremes? Okay, I'll go away. Oh, you're doing Hildebrand? I don't like Hildebrand. I'm going to go away. Oh, you're doing the raid series before
My
you move on?
bad.
I'm going to go away. That's fine. That's totally good. The other effect happened to us though is like when we got back to the story, it was difficult and amazing at the same time. So I think around Shadowbringers we were like getting like between 13 and 17,000 viewers who were watching along for the MSQ, which was it was mad. But then you get a weird thing that happens with content creation, especially if you've got a very close community, is your long-term members are starting to get a little frustrated because there's too many people around, and the atmosphere you've built with maybe 2,000 to 4,000 people is gone for the moment. And most of them understood that what was going on, and it was that kind of situation. But it could be a mixed bag. I'm fortunate in that. However, I do know very close friends of mine who I recommended the game to, and that's Cabal. And I'm not mad at these guys, but they generally they do what we've talked about here today, right? Which is I wish I could experience that story again. Like if I could wipe my memory, I would do it over and over again and wipe my memory and play it again and just do it over and over again. I would absolutely do that if I had the ability to play through that story again. And you can't, it's impossible. So there's a lot of people who watch live streamers play through the MSQ so they can somewhat relive that through them, right? You're getting that you're getting a little bit of that back. And they can be angry when you don't react in the same way. You said you notoriously don't cry, and there are moments that certain parts of the MSQ where people cry. And if you don't react in that way, they can get very, very upset. Like, you're clearly not into the story. You don't care. You're putting it on for show. And I see this a lot in the FF14 community is, well, they didn't react in a certain way to X story moment. They're just doing it because it gains viewers. Because typically speaking, streaming the FF14 story does get viewers. But my feeling on that is the viewers can also tell if you're, like, scamming them, if you're just playing it because you're hoping to get some subs and stuff. And if you are actually genuinely enjoying yourself, it comes through pretty clearly. But they stopped streaming the game.
Okay.
Enjoy what they wanted to do. Some
Oh my
people wanted
goodness.
to try a different job out.
No
So
shot.
that means kind of starting back and doing job stories. And
Really?
You're going to hold the story. And they were getting such a lot of like when MSQ, that
There
they
we
gave
go.
up on the game. And that can
Oh,
much happen
goodness.
as well, depending on your personality as a streamer. So it's something when I know one of my friends is getting into it, I've always warned them. One, you're going to get a massive bump in viewership, probably. But it's also going to go away. Because once that story's done, they're disappearing. Like, that's what happens. They're along for the ride for the story because they want to relive it. They want to live vicariously through you. And they'll enjoy it, and they'll be great while they're there. But when that story's done, they're out of there again. So don't do anything crazy during that period of time. Like, certainly if you're earning a lot more money than you're typically used to as a content creator, like, don't do anything crazy. Don't go out and, buy a car or whatever. Like, that's going to be a problem.
Buy a car.
So I should take this Ferrari out of my
Yeah, maybe. Like, just be careful depending on what the bump is compared to what you used to, compared to what's actually happening. I don't think it's going to last forever. It's not. Like, it's just not going to do that. So you take that information. But other than that, it's always up to the streamer to manage the expectations of the audience. My recommendation would be just be very clear about what it is you're doing. If you're going to do all the extremes, tell them you're going to do all the extremes. Like, don't surprise people with it, or like maybe tomorrow we'll do MSQ, because that's, I think, how you don't want to lose those viewers. So some people are like, oh, maybe we'll do it tomorrow. Maybe we'll do it then. They're not going to. They're fully intending to do the extremes or go and learn a new job or something like that. But just lay down the plan and be okay with people coming and going. That's what I'd say.
That's what we're starting it back up next week, and we didn't schedule that stream until a couple of days ago because we were just like, we're not sure. We're going to FanFest. We're coming back. We don't know how long that's all going to take. And so
All right, let me
tried to be
go to Heidel.
about that. Like, we don't want to put a date that's 3 weeks out after FanFest and then realize we can't meet that date and then bum everyone out.
Yeah.
So
open
tell
the
people the truth.
boxes, maybe.
Especially because we're recorded.
All right. Open the boxes. Here we go.
Tech tip situation that's happening as we're recording this is everything we do is recorded. There's no point in lying because everything you say, trying to remember lies in this business is impossible. And the people who do it always get caught out, and you can
Come
see
on,
those
RNG
drama
gods.
frogs that live
Come
in this world.
on.
Like somebody will find the clip and be like,
All right,
"Yep,
not too bad, not too bad. All right, hey, I'll
this is when
take
he
it.
said this is when he said this." Like it's just
All
so not
right.
worth it at all.
I
to try
see
and
you.
remember that stuff.
No
I'm
cronstones that
recorded-
time.
I mean, outside of Twitch, we make YouTube as well. So like, I'm recorded like
I
more than
spoke
50%
too
of my
soon.
day of every day of my life is recorded, and so like, I can't
These
remember.
boxes are
I can't
scams.
remember everything I've said in that day. So the best plan is to tell the truth. And if somebody says,
Hey.
say this and it just sounds
Never
completely
mind. It is
wrong,
not a scam.
then probably you didn't say that, and you're okay.
Nice, dude. I will take it.
I mean, it sounds like the kind of Yoshi
Heck
other games
yeah.
philosophy and the quitting World of Warcraft really kind of
My
works for you. Now
first
you're
ever
variety streaming, but also with an
Deboreka
MMO head to it,
accessory.
you got Baldur's Gate
First
coming up
ever
like that. It sounds like a pretty healthy place.
Deboreka accessory. Okay.
We play whatever we want. We did
Probably my one and only
we did a project MMO
Deboreka
Final
accessory.
Fantasy, I was like,
Let's
we
just
should really
get that
look
straight.
into what the other MMOs are offering that are still popular and around, because now I realize the difference between the two games. On the face of it, they look the same. You know,
Literally.
the gameplay style. It's tab targeting. You get spells, health bars.
My only Deboreka accessory I've ever gotten in this game. Through
a
an RNG box.
ESO looks the same. Star Wars looks the same, etc. So the only reason we got an MMO leaning recently is because we did Project MMO to complete all the raids in these different games. Going blind, play through it, and finish all the raids. That was the goal. And I think we're a bit MMO burned.
All right, frame drops, frame drops. Warning, warning.
Yeah, I'm the streamer ultimately. It's like,
Can't imagine
okay.
why.
Yeah, I remember we're burned out. So we're playing Satisfactory. We're playing. I'm actually, the current goal is to finish all the single player mainline Final Fantasies because I'd never played any of them. 14 was my first Final Fantasy game. So I said we should find out how. I'm always interested in the history. That's what I did with World of Warcraft, is tracking the history of how we got from A to B. It's not as simple as, oh, this is a new change. It started somewhere a long time ago, like flying mounts and problems and things like that. So. I wanted to know where did this franchise come from that people are like clamoring at the hilt for every
I got 40 of these. All right, I'll take it.
How did we get here? And so we've been jumping around because they're not chronological.
You can process this down.
We're going to play an MMO on Saturday, but then we're doing something else like for the
Simple
week.
Alchemy.
Playing a lot of Path of Exile whenever we get chance. So yeah, I'm lucky to be in that position because it was World of Warcraft only, which is a horrible place to be because some days even the most avid fans do not want to play that game. You know, I want a day off.
Okie dokie. Drop this off.
You gotta play it because that's what everyone's expecting you to.
All right, let me
play.
go get my church buffs here real quick.
It really sucks.
7 years.
Fact,
Yeah. 7 years.
Yeah.
Here's the
Frame
silver.
drop, frame drop.
At least there's a clip.
Warning,
of
warning.
She's a close friend of mine. She's
You may get
fellow
tilted.
caster for the Race to World First, and I've been pushing.
Oh,
her to play
my.
Final Fantasy for like 2 years, or maybe a year, a bit actually. And she finally jumped in, and on the first day, she
what the heck?
She had more viewers than she'd ever had by multiples, and she was having a really fun time. And she had just, it came out like I've been playing World of Warcraft.
All right, let's see. We'll do the
That's what everyone expects
300.
of me. And that's it.
300,
If I don't play it, people are going to disappear
300.
and stuff like that. And it's, I had the same thoughts. Like it's not just on her. I had the same thoughts as well. But that's why I told my team when we were stopping making WoW content.
Oh, I need to get
I
my
don't know what happens from here. I really don't. I'm very fortunate.
simple alchemy. Where's my find?
It really is superb.
Yeah,
function?
We recently, we
Simple.
need to figure out how the hell we're going to continue moving through it. But
Mill.
we recently did some Baldur's Gate 3
Wow.
streams, and they went really
Almost 2,000 of those.
Really
Woo.
well. Which I guess I feel now.
Do
I feel
30.
like I shouldn't be so surprised, but obviously we're worried too. We have the same concerns everyone has when you are known for streaming a game or making content about a game, and then like what happens next. But yeah, I mean, Kyle is a massive D&D.
It will happen.
and,
Come on. There we go.
The co-op in this game is freaking incredible. So
No spoilers, please.
No.
Or I will ruin Endwalker right here, right now.
we're moving slower through this than through the MSQ. So I don't think we can really
All right.
spoil much.
Elvia server. That should help reduce some of the
There are
lag.
goblins. I can confirm there are goblins.
Or the FPS drop.
You're taking a big risk
Hopefully.
there.
Yeah. There might be a trap. There might be a trap you need to work
Okay.
That's actually a big problem for me. I have an issue with traps in video games.
All right, where's
Uh,
Giants
I
at?
Yeah, I'm pretty good at finding them every single time. But I'm looking forward to it because I'm also.
All right, it's been a while since I've been here.
I saw on Twitter it's getting some hot fixes and stuff for LK3. So when I get it, it'll be perfect. Like I'll have the best possible.
Oh wow!
Wow.
Hey, actually,
Yes, that's my thoughts on it. I'm gonna. I mean, thankfully, you two work together to get a duo.
Actually
going.
got these.
So many
Wow.
hours to do like 4-player, and I'm like, that game is probably going to be 200 hours. Are we really going to schedule all our streams for 200 hours where we're all together all the time without breaking it up so much the audience loses interest because it's
Yeah,
like we've
with
got one stream a week or whatever? Like that's not going to happen.
Yeah, that many people trying to go through a game together.
I did it for
Yeah, that's
Divinity. It
rough.
was glorious, but I would not do it again.
I wouldn't do it on stream. Off stream, sure. Like we could play Thursday, we could play Wednesday, or whatever. Like a raid night, essentially. Totally. Yeah, absolutely do that. Organize it with other streamers, especially ones that live in the US. Not happening. Any circumstances. That is not happening.
Time zone. Another question we got.
All right.
Which
gonna be selling my first
we're
ever
for incredible
Deboreka
service.
accessory
Regular Ham in our Discord wants
to the
know,
market.
do you have any advice?
Pretty
for
hype.
Streamers that may be entering Endwalker for the first time.
You're
No
welcome
one in particular.
to whoever bought that.
If you have gotten through the other expansions, it's just the same. Like there's going to be no difference. I don't think it's any different than going in for the FF14 community who likes to watch the streams. They treat Endwalker just like they treat Heavensward. There's no, I didn't have any difference in the way people treated Endwalker other than they did in Heavensward, Realm Reborn, or anything else. That might be unique to me, but I don't think so. I think you guys had a similar experience, right?
I would imagine, yeah.
I need to do something with these
Good to
capra
see
stones.
Stoked.
Stoked and don't want to spoil. Like the FF14 community looks after each other like a lot. They police themselves for the most part.
What capra
Do
level?
you guys not have that?
7.
What police them?
I think I can get one more
for the most part,
DP and one more
Our
AP
mods are
at some point.
exceptionally fast on the trigger.
Oh, okay. We had the smile police. So, because
Yes.
obviously people want to know what you're thinking, which can come across to a new viewer as like, are you asking a question? It's like, is this Graha? Maybe, and the smile police jumps in quickly and they fill the chat like they're doing now with smiley faces so that
Let's
no answer could ever be
All
written in any second whatsoever.
I was accused of being spoiled and lying about it because like right away I'm like, oh, it's Graha. And everyone's like, how does he know?
Yeah,
I'm like,
but you second guess
One.
we started playing right when they made Crystal Tower required. And it was like a patch
Oh.
note. And I remember being like, why did they make this required? What a
right, we're
weird story to
here.
make required. And then we get to the beginning of
Okay, I need
oh, it's a cat dude.
Okay, that makes
my
sense.
temp buff
I
here
thought it
real
was
quick.
Graha straight away. But I didn't play it that way. I did Crystal Tower during Realm Reborn. And I went, oh, it's probably the guy. And then because it kept teasing it for so long, I went on massive journeys mentally. as to who it might
Repair.
be. Especially because I
Bill
still thought with time
scroll
traveling, so I was like,
90.
it might be Lunasoir. What if it's you,
Okay.
Lunasoir, or something like that?
Hit that as well.
Like,
Probably should go ahead
clarity,
and buy me
yeah, it turned
some
out to be Graha. I was like,
food.
yeah, that makes total sense.
You know,
Or
the theory may have
feed.
been, like incredibly wrong, but based on where you were starting, which was with time travel,
let's do
that
20.
makes a lot of sense.
Right? So yeah, I got all suspicious and twisted in my mind.
Feed.
And
The
you know,
Crystal Tower was a long time ago for me.
it's hilarious because there was time travel.
All right,
It's just
cool.
not in the way you thought of
So I
it.
think we got everything
Correct.
for the most
Yes.
part. That the only thing I need to do is
Most FF games,
do my frenzy droughts, and we
I
will
also
be
played this
ready.
game,
I'll
like
just
the
do the
Death of Gosetsu. They're all like, oh, I cried
Marnie
so hard
Realm.
at this part. Oh, this was the worst. I can't believe they did it. So by the time they brought out those same quotes for Ratika Greatwood and Yashtoa, we're like, come on, really? No.
Yeah, I didn't buy into Gosetsu either, which I think adds to going back to the other question about streaming it. Is you can, at least I can, and I think most viewers can tell 100% when you know something's happening. Like if you suddenly start getting really nervous coming to the end of to the point in Heavensward where Horsefan dies, like, oh, I hope everybody.
All right,
comes
it's
up.
been a
You
while
can
since I've
tell
been here,
people are, like,
honestly.
clearly know what's going on here. And
It's been a while.
It's
Been a minute.
You can just see it very blatantly as they're trying to set up a clip. They're trying to set up a moment, but it's not genuine. And if the best way of being able to tell is
Alrighty.
when something dramatic
Well,
has happened, but you don't care that much.
let's
about
get
the
it done.
character, or you don't believe them, that you just go, shut up. Like, which is how I felt about Gosetsu. I was like, they're not killing Gosetsu here. Like, there's no way.
We had like a full 10-15 minute like just bullshit session between Kyle.
I feel like I
and me
should do
right before Albert,
human
not Albert,
damage,
but
crystals.
frick. Who was possessing Ardbert? Elidibus. Right before Elidibus Ardbert shows up for the first time, Kyle and I had like a good 10
Let's
to 15 minute
see.
we were just having a conversation with each other. And Chad was burning the house down.
Yeah, I might do this one.
Because we didn't know it was literally, we were one click away.
And
that moment.
No, well, the worst one was
I
the,
may
Alpha
take
walks into the lobby
away
and goes, everything seems to be great. Where Emmett shows up and introduces himself.
probably this
And I saw him there,
one.
I'm like, how y'all doing? Let's get a drink. This is great. Alphina's saying everything's gonna be great. This is fine. Let's all hang out
That's
for a little
right.
bit.
That's right. I'm getting them confused. It wasn't the Elidibus moment. It was the Emmett moment because they both happened in the same location, which is
Yep.
the courtyard of the.
But that's the genuineness of it.
Yeah.
Right? That's exactly why people are reaching out to me saying, stop.
Yeah.
Or wait,
Like,
is this
no,
demi-human
stop.
damage?
Whereas if I'd known, I'd planned the day around it or something like that.
Oh
Yeah,
goodness.
and then a couple people were a little rude, so then we stalled a little bit further on. That's what happens.
I'm losing my
As
mind.
far as doing that, that's for sure. I only ever stalled because I'm genuinely interested in something else for the moment. It's just a sec. The story's waiting for me. It's been here for years. It's not going anywhere.
We're gonna get there. Don't worry.
Yes,
We're
we
gonna
are
get
going to get there. It's totally fine.
promise. I promise.
I should probably
We
actually.
got a question from Pothy who said,
Maybe
having
do this
broadened your
one.
horizons beyond World of Warcraft, experiencing MMOs like 14 and Guild Wars 2, PoE, and coming back to WoW,
Nah.
where do you see you dipping your toes next? And
Nah.
what would you recommend the grinding gear community, us to try?
Oh, for you? Well, I'm not sure
And-
your gaming background. I
For-
think one of the... Go on.
Yeah, World of Warcraft for the most part, both of us.
Uh,
That's how we started.
I might go ahead
continued
and
talking to each other past college was WoW, and then we started
put
getting started
on
up together, and then we went into
my
Heroes together,
artifacts
and
as
now we're
well.
Have you tried PoE?
No.
Only
mean,
wants to get
that-
overwhelmed.
See,
I mean, I did that blind, and it's one of the most
Okay.
rewarding journeys I ever went on.
berry.
It's an
Potion.
amazing experience to put aside the elitism that comes with that game, because it is extraordinarily deep. But you,
Let's do it.
similar to MMOs, and you guys will probably understand this, is like
don't know
nearly
how
all the main content is
well we're
designed
gonna
to
do
be
here.
by anyone. And you then make a choice to push beyond that to the next big thing. Right?
I wish you
So
didn't
if
go
you
so
upgrade,
far.
For example, like most people playing kind of whatever they want could do heroic. You can even plug that content. If you want to go to Mythic, yeah, you're going to have to start investing more time into it. Similar with FF14 and Savage. That's where you make that choice to go across. PoE is similar. It just doesn't present like that way at first, but it is still similar. Like I did it full blind and beat the top tier maps. I didn't go to the Ubers and things like that, which is where you then invest into like getting a real build, something that's been tested and seasoned and people have adapted onto and modified and specific gear sets and things. That's the next stage. But that journey that you go on for the first time and messing around with what is possible in that game is so fun, because it's an infinite well of things to mess around with and have fun with if you're not looking to like try hard it. If you're looking to just experience the game for the first time and enjoy that journey and be okay with failure, which so many gamers aren't, which is really sad. It's fine to mess up and have to respec or to make the wrong choice. Nothing happens. You're fine. The sun will come up tomorrow. It's all good. So like if you're okay with that and have fun with each other, like, oh my God, why did I? Because I definitely specced into things that just ruined my character on occasion. I was like, oh my God. And then I go out and test it and like and go back and like change it back. And that's really fun. Or you delete, technically, especially because it's such a loot-driven game, I definitely deleted things which were massive upgrades. Not that I knew it, but people were face palming so hard at some of the things I did because you just wouldn't do that if you were a seasoned player. But that was the point. I went to enjoy it for the first time because you can only really do that once. So PoE is definitely something I'd recommend. On top of that, it's... Oh, you're a duo, which I assume you've done all the main duo stuff, A Way Out and et cetera, et cetera.
No, not really, because this is all kind of new for us.
Oh,
Yeah. We
wow.
podcasted before that, but about like single games that we sometimes play together.
All right.
StarCraft is kind of hard to play together unless we were trying to get pissed off at each other.
yeah. A Way Out and It Takes Two. I mean, It Takes Two is my game of the year last year.
I feel like I'm kind of going
Okay.
slow,
That's really
honestly.
but that is a pure co-op experience. It's not hard, but it's hilarious. Like as a duo content creation team, it's hard to miss with that. I think the only downside of that from a streaming perspective is nearly everybody has played it. But I don't actually think in that game it would matter because it's more about the journey. It's not really about the ending.
That was a jump on it.
Would be very, very fun. Other than that, there are some really great things that I think two content creators can make together, including old games like SimCity, where you can actually actively, toxically attack each other by doing nasty things like, you know, blow pollution over the other person's city to ruin their hopes and dreams of utopia. Especially if you get the community involved to mess around and stuff like that. My personal little successes recently of things that I didn't expect my audience to like, and actually they really jumped on, were Satisfactory and Planet Crafter. Building games, and Subnautica especially. Because one, everybody gets to comment on the design of what you're building, and they're watching you do it, and they're just like, what is this nightmare-fueled thing that you're constructing? And then when you're like, inevitably you're going to go, it's fine, I'm going to fix it. And then you set about it, like just seeing the audience react, like
yeah, I kind of wish that spin didn't go as fast.
They also know things about the game that you don't know,
or as far.
That's going to go wrong inevitably because they'll see you do something incorrectly, and they know that that's going to lead to something in about 20 seconds, which is going to be a big problem, and they just go, and then it inevitably falls apart and collapses.
Yeah,
so
they just lean in.
Yeah. Also, you could. I mean, it depends on time zones, but what we've been doing recently and we're setting up in the background is some more overlapping streamer stuff. But for you to, that's what I would recommend for you guys, for sure, is to try those things out with your audience, certainly in a co-op experience. But I think that's good stuff. If you're looking specifically for MMOs, a little awkward. After you get past like the big two, there are weaknesses that become more and more apparent. And interest, you're going to a niche audience at that point. So you do have to bear that in mind, as MMOs require a huge time investment. And
big
if you
time.
Explore it properly, the people who love it want to see you do it all. And even though you might be having a good time, ultimately World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy 14 are kind of the big mega two with a big audience, and you're constantly shaving away at the potential audience for other games. So. Yeah, that's not a road I would super recommend unless you have a goal like I did with Project MMO. Like, what is our goal? What is our purpose? If it's just to play the game, past the Final Fantasy 14, you're probably not going to garner much interest, I would have thought.
And then you mentioned a new one coming out that you're kind of curious about, Blue Protocol?
There's like 4 coming out, 4 or 5 coming out. We've got some MMO Lights that's coming out. I'm getting to game tests tomorrow, which is Wayfinder. I'm going to do some playtesting on that. Blue Protocol...
I'm excited for Palea.
I'm not, after I just played it.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Yeah, I know it's in testing right now. I haven't tried it yet.
Yeah, we have Palea. It's not for me, that's all, and that's fine. It's a Stardew Valley super cozy game. I'm not a fan of it because I need a bit of action, I need a bit of rough, I need a bit of edge. But my team, certainly one member of our team is playing the hell out of it, as are certain other people. They love it. They absolutely adore it. Their monetization model is a bit scuffed at the moment as well. They've been caught doing some iffy things that they're trying to correct. So keeping my eye on that. Blue Protocol is the anime MMO, which has been made by a full-on anime studio.
Yeah, that one looks pretty cool.
Very popular Korean band, but the gameplay is really tight. So Amazon invited me to play that in London a couple of months back because they're westernizing the game. It's already out in Japan and Korea. But the westernization version, they want to make sure is right. And me being a
fantasy starring it.
A little bit. Like, as a non-anime fan, I was kind of the perfect person to come and check. Like, one, we know you will not like the anime. That's a good thing. What's the gameplay like?
I saw screenshots of this forever ago and forgot about it. I really like how it looks. Even though I'm not the type of...
Yeah, the art style looks pretty good on
anime,
it.
But I'm not sold on a game because it has an anime art style.
Yeah, same. So I was down there to test that. Got a few hours with it and got to speak to the franchise director of it and have an interview with him, who's the former game director of Guild Wars 2, which worked out really well.
Okay.
So we did that. That looks really good. We've already got Ashes of Creation. I'm
that's going to come out in 2030.
It's going to suck. I know it, but I'm super hyped for it.
But hopefully in the good way. Like the arc kind of messy.
It's gonna be terrible. I know it. I know it. I'm not saying it because of the studio or anything, but because
Yeah.
I don't want it to. It will.
Yeah,
I know it.
that's fair.
But I'm still gonna play it.
As an
still
Aliens
gonna play
fan, every video game I'm always like, I know.
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
I mean, for the longest time, that was me in Star Wars, and then they finally started making some good Star Wars games.
I actually want to go play Galaxies. So I mentioned it on
cool.
stream, and the people who run the private server contacted us because they were in the stream. And they were like, please let us know when you're coming because you kill the server. Like, if we.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah,
I can
they're like,
imagine.
we're like, we want you to come and play for sure, but please give us heads up of when you're coming. And I'm like, I don't know when that is, but I do want to try out Galaxies because I ignored it. My brother was playing at the time, and I was playing an MMO called Neocron. And I didn't like Star Wars, like we mentioned earlier. I'm not a Star Wars fan, so I wasn't interested. But the stories I've heard, I wish I was a part of it and a content creator when Galaxies was at its peak, and then they did I can't remember what the name of the expansion was that completely rewrote the whole game, and everybody left immediately. Like, they killed their own game of whatever that expansion was. So I kind of want to go back and see what it was all about because I didn't experience it when my brother and my nephew did. So I just want to try it out. But again, it's a big commitment.
It was a special game, but yeah, it was a product of its time in many regards too.
There was no game from my childhood I wanted to play more, but it was I don't even think I had a credit card when that game came out. Like, I don't think I had a bank account yet. So
Oh, come
Tried
on.
WoW Ascension. I'm interested.
Oh, come on,
Well,
man.
World of Warcraft Ascension. It is a private server thing, so you can't stream it, unfortunately. But it's
oh no, I haven't.
yeah, it's a server that's put roguelite elements into World of Warcraft and made new.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
classes, like chronomancers and things like that. They've modified all the spells. Apparently, plays super well.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. One of my good friends plays it.
About it. I haven't tried it myself. But all these options are out there, but I can't stream it because Blizzard doesn't seem to like you streaming.
How strange. How strange.
Yeah, they get a little mad about it, unfortunately.
What's your yeah? I mean, along those lines, let's just start talking about your favorite Final Fantasy 14
Come on.
rounds. You know,
Perfect.
I only what you can see it actually. You
Your
can.
chat
I
bubble
have it installed IRL.
For the
Right here.
audio only listeners, Preach has a chat bubble drawn on his microphone.
I did. I lose my mind every time they do a live letter and it gets to like the miscellaneous changes at the end where they are introducing add-on functionality into the base game, so you don't need an add-on. And he's still. In fact, for FanFest, I was kind of thinking of cosplaying as a chat bubble, like a big, giant chat bubble like outfit, and just walking around FanFest as a chat bubble to see if I could talk to Yoshi P.
I could see my follow-up question going long. Are you good on time?
Hey, yeah, I've got nowhere to be.
I was going to clarify. So are you going to FanFest Europe?
Yes, that's why we didn't go to the Las Vegas one. It overlaps with ExileCon. Also, I hate Las Vegas. It's a death trap.
I've never been before, and I agree with that. I did not.
Yeah, it's horrible.
On the first episode of the podcast, I think when we got back, people were like, "What'd you think of Vegas?" And I said, "I'm the type of person that always finds something to love anywhere I go." That didn't happen, really. Yeah.
No, I liked when we left Las Vegas and went on a road trip with my wife and kids, but then we had to come back. I was also there at the same time of year. That heat is just ludicrous.
Yeah, it's
not fun.
It's the hottest I've ever been. It's the hottest temperature I've ever experienced, and I live in Florida, so
yeah it's disgusting.
It was a lot. It was a lot. Yeah. I like seeing my friends, and the con was so. This is because you started playing after Shadowbringers came out as well.
Yes, I believe so.
So this will be your first FanFest, yeah?
Yep, I ignored everything and live letters and stuff until I was up to date. So yes, my first FanFest. I'm learning so much about it. I like that they break the trailer up into segments and then muffle the audio and change things. So it gets that speculation going in the community.
Hide a sword, clearly. Obviously, hide a sword.
Alpha Noah in a boat. So like, yeah, I like that. I'm enjoying it, but I'm also glad I didn't go to the first one. Not to crap on North America, because like, you get the weakest version of the stuff.
We do.
Fair.
Which for us was perfect because we were not current.
Yeah.
So
true. Yeah, that's true. I suppose.
like we had a couple people get really. Most people were like well-meaning concerned for us going. We had a couple people who took it way too far. But
yeah, in a way though, because they want you to have the experience they had, right? Like,
yeah.
I always look at
exactly.
it that way. They're not being malicious. It's just that they think you're really spoiling one of their best times of their lives. Like, not from like your experience is the best time, but a best time they had, you're not gonna maybe not gonna have now.
Yeah,
and they feel
yeah.
they want to
All
protect you
right.
from that.
Let's
There's good intention
see.
behind it.
4,000.
So, Square Enix's team is credit, and the folks running FanFest credit. There was an Endwalker recap panel, and they did a spoiler warning before they started it.
They know.
Yeah.
They're not
Yep.
stupid. They know.
But you
Yep.
just
So if you go watch our video, you can watch us sprinting out of the con floor.
but you just said you
abandon
went
ship
to
immediately.
like a Exile Con, so you've been to single game cons before then, so that won't be a new experience.
No.
Because that's what really impressed us was because BlizzCon was our con up until this point, and
That was the same
Uh,
for me.
FanFest it was wild knowing everyone's there for one game and one game only, and
I see what you're
yeah,
saying.
yeah.
it made it really cohesive because you could go. I only caught like the very tail end of the cosplay panel, but it led into the beginning of the piano performance, and so it literally went from people memeing in giant grapes cosplay to the classiest musical performance I've ever personally witnessed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this would never work at like BlizzCon because you got too many disparate people interested in too many different things. But here you can go from the ha 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 squapes to, all right, let's bring out the jazz gowns and have a beautiful piano performance. And
Yeah.
it just worked seamlessly.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it because I think the FanFest in London, I'm surprised how small it is because I was basing everything off BlizzCon.
Is the
and
one in London smaller?
the one in London is 4,000 people.
That's it?
Whoa,
That's
yeah,
it.
That is
Yeah,
small.
it's-
Holy crap.
It's tiny. It's absolutely tiny. And
Vegas was
I
way
was
bigger than that.
shocked. We've organized like a party because we expected everybody in our community essentially who could go to get a ticket, like they would for BlizzCon, right? And then it came out that they sold out in like 2 seconds. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like, I was lucky enough to win one. I didn't get like one from Squeenix. I won on the lottery. And then all our community was like, we didn't get tickets. Like they just went. We didn't get one. We didn't get one. We didn't get one. And I was like, oh crap, because we'd planned a whole thing to have in London because we were going to be down there, and nobody got any tickets, and it was a real bummer. And thankfully, with the revamps, they did it again. They like recycled it as more people did get tickets. So we're having like a 100-person private party in London, but we were expecting to do something really big and fun for everybody. I don't know why they do it so small, but because the arena they're doing it in, I've been to for a few events, and it holds like 10 or 12,000 people, but they're just
Interesting.
booking one room for it. That's it.
Let's see.
I have a feeling they're gonna learn some lessons for the next one. Like they didn't seem prepared for the turnout or the people or everyone to want to do everything because like they only had like one play pit for the trial that you could play.
Mhm.
And it was the line was nightmarish. Like and I'm like, listen, everything about this I like more than BlizzCon, but y'all need to learn how to do game stations better because
Yeah.
like you've got I think Vegas was 14 or 15,000 people, and there's only one thing you can actually go play. Everyone's gonna want to go do that. So
It
that-
might
that
be
was-
because of the surge in popularity, because they haven't had one since COVID, and the downfall of Shadowlands and the surge over to 14. They might have underestimated just how popular, certainly in the West, it had become.
I absolutely think that's what it's a perfect storm,
Mhm.
right? Like it's post COVID and post the explosion in popularity of the game. But
Yeah.
overall, we had a really good time, and we had a lot of folks show up to our meetup that just came out for the meetup because they couldn't
Yeah.
get a ticket at the FanFest. So you might experience some of that too.
Well, we have, yeah. Like, there a lot of people coming to look because we're having the party the day before the event. So I think maybe we're actually overbooked now, which is always the way it goes. It's like it was originally like 40 people. Now it's a lot more. But a lot of people are coming who don't have FanFest tickets because they're also quite expensive. They were like BlizzCon expensive.
Not anymore. BlizzCon is more expensive now, so it's actually a bargain to go to FanFest by comparison.
Oh, good.
BlizzCon tickets
so-
are over $300 US now, I believe.
That's
for a
crazy.
short notice,
$300.
They only announced
Yeah.
it this year for this year.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So it's gonna be interesting. I'm still excited for it though. Like, I like seeing the WoW announcement.
Must be
and
pretty
just generally
popular.
Getting to see everybody, it's gonna be good. But FanFest, I'm hype as hell for.
Yeah. If I go, it'll be last minute. I'll probably just go to party at the Hilton. I don't think I'll
I mean, what else are you going to do at BlizzCon? You're not going to go inside. Like, for real.
I have a buddy who's now on the Hearthstone team, and I'm so proud of him, and I want to go and party with him and say hi. And I know a lot of my friends are going to be there, but I don't know.
That's the only reason I go. Like, I love the announcements and stuff. And yeah, if we do an interview and stuff, that's awesome. But I'm not queuing up to play, like, World of Warcraft.
Yeah, and even though the BlizzCon queues aren't that bad, they go pretty quick. But
I've never been in one.
oh,
See,
I mean, the last like 5 BlizzCons I had a media pass, but the first few I went to, no one gave a crap.
yeah, I'm not being smug about it. It's just that we do have like the alphas and stuff at home, generally speaking. So like, and we are fortunate in that regard. Is like, I'm not going to play it here. I can queue up. I'd rather meet people and just say hi to as many people as humanly possible. That's why I'm there.
Yeah,
which works out super well.
Oof.
Well, rad. Well, thanks for coming on, Mike. We really
This was a
appreciate
pleasure.
your time today.
Gosh,
Thanks for hanging with us.
is that
It's good to talk to you.
podcast?
Kyle, I hope
It's already
you
been
enjoyed
up
it. You
an
called
hour?
to Loki's Warring.
It was glorious.
Jeez.
It was
good
beautiful.
time.
It was absolutely beautiful.
There's been some comments in our Discord I caught people being like, "Oh, I'm excited for Mike and Garrett to go at it because they're
Apparently.
Go at
I
it.
wasn't as in
Fisticuffs.
the know about your takes, but people were like, Mike and Garrett had a pretty similar onboarding experience. I wonder how they'll get on. So
Okay.
I hope it lived up to everyone's expectations. And seriously, shout out to like our community because that's how this happened. Y'all were like, oh, you recommended you should come on, and here we are doing a podcast.
Yeah, that's the same thing. They came over and said, "Oh, let's do this," and I was like, "Thank God," because we were talking before the show. It's like the good podcasts just aren't happening at the moment. So to have one as good as yours is great. Thank God, because we haven't had one for ages. Because none of us want to run a podcast. Like,
It's a lot of work.
we all want to talk about games. Actually, none of us want to run a podcast under any circumstances. So we're all just like waiting for somebody else to do it. Like, who will do it? Like, we all just wait silently for something to happen.
Oh, that's hilarious. Thank you for the compliment. It's hilarious because compared to making a YouTube video, this is like the easy thing. It's like you just record and post it. Hell yeah, let's go.
It's organizing the guests.
That is a good point.
It's getting it all timed up right.
Yeah, that's why we
For the most part, as long as you have like the
So, yeah,
topics in hand, it's pretty
if
straightforward.
you do it that way. I don't
No editing or anything like that for the most part.
Well, yeah. Well, thank you, and shout out to your community manager. It was super helpful.
Yeah, Lady Bex.
Yeah, Bex rules. So, Kyle, did you have outro music queued up for us?
What is in this button?
Oh, well, we're gonna find out. It's a mystery
It's an older
this week.
one. It's an older one.
Well, thanks again. We want to give a shout out to everyone supporting us on.
Well, that's a shame. Podcast.
Gage, we are live. Hello, everybody.
Oh, hi, stream.
Oh, we'll listen to another one.
For the audio-only listeners out there who are probably like, are they still doing cold opens? What's going? Yes, we are. Hi, everyone. Garrett and Kyle here. We're here with Mr. Happy today, and this all came about because we had a wonderful dinner together.
Yes.
After the Final Fantasy 14 media tour, and if you're one of our less Final Fantasy 14 inclined listeners, that was a thing we got to go on like a month ago now, maybe 2 months. I don't know. We had to sit on it for so long for embargo. I don't remember when it happened.
I feel like I'm not doing as good for some
We
reason.
went out to dinner afterwards with some.
Also, I'm like
doing some
getting
folks
no
we didn't
XP
know,
at all.
which included you. Abby.
Jeez.
We had never talked before. It was one of the rare occasions where internet content creators got to meet for the first time in person, as opposed to like consuming a ton of each other's like YouTube videos or streams.
Yeah, and it's funny because
I'm not getting no XP.
I obviously knew that you guys were running the podcast. I knew what you guys were doing, but I'm actually, it might surprise you, I'm very disconnected from Final Fantasy content creation, other than the fact that I make content for it. Because
Same.
Yes.
Yeah.
It seems natural. I think it's how you have what's called that rare thing, the work-life balance. You finish work and you stop working, and that's where you find the balance.
Yeah. I was watching a video the other day, and my recommendeds came up at the end, and it was like top 10 scenes from Fresh Prince and like Michael Jackson's Thriller. And it's like everyone's like, "What are your recommendeds?" And I'm like, "Well, they're not Final Fantasy. I'll tell you that." Like, it's like a scene from The Blacklist or something.
Okay, all right. All right, I want to do this now.
Ooh.
Everybody, fire up your YouTube.
Okay.
And make sure you're on your personal account. Not well, I guess Happy, you probably just use your upload
Yeah.
account, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Kyle and
Oh,
Mason's
my
were
top
duo.
recommended is this.
Oh,
Mine
nice.
too. Yeah. look at
Mine
that.
too. And then it's Wristwatch Revival, Good Mythical Morning, Donut Media, and James Hoffman.
Spencer Reed season 6 being hilarious from Criminal Minds is the first one that pops up.
So you like cable TV clips.
You know what it is? When I'm unwinding for the day, I don't want something that I haven't seen a lot because it demands a lot of my attention. Like someone like I go to sleep if I'm going to put on a show. I'm not going to put on a show I haven't seen before. I'm going to put on something I've seen a million times so I don't feel like I need to stay up and watch it.
That's a good point.
And it's kind of the same with my YouTube. I've seen all of Criminal Minds, so I could just throw it on the back, and I don't really need to pay much attention to it. It's just kind of there.
Yeah. Oh, that's why I do the isekais, because it's like, oh no, another world. How'd this? I'm just out. Don't need information. By the way, mine is a review of Battleship, that fabulous movie. What was that? 2013. Earlier?
I like that movie.
The one with one of the Skarsgård brothers?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say that's one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
Oh,
but,
yeah,
you
no,
know.
absolutely.
I enjoy it. It's one of those this is so awful I'm entertained.
Yeah, like
Movies.
what was it? 2012. Like like world destruction movies. Moon blows up. Moonfall was it? The moon fell. It was full of
Who did Independence Day? Because that's that director's only good movie.
Yes.
Roland Emmerich.
Yeah, the Emmerich.
Like a
the
Roland Emmerich
business.
movie. They're awful except for ID4.
The Rogue. Well, no, Godzilla's okay. That Godzilla's okay.
great.
Yeah.
Godzilla is just Independence Day again with a lizard instead of aliens. Like,
But it's way better than Independence Day.
and Apache helicopters instead of jets. Like,
And it's still way better
similar.
than
Still
Independence
nothing
Day.
better, nothing better than that Independence Day scene when they just fly up and just, we're gonna make contact. And they just like flash lights at the alien spacecraft to see what'll happen. Oh, good stuff.
I like it.
Oh, that's wonderful. This is
See,
what we're doing. I think we just
how
came
we
up with a new
doing? How
format
we
of the show. Every
doing?
time we have a guest on, we're going to be like, okay, open up your YouTube recommendations.
Let's learn something about each other.
Instead of talking about content creation and Final Fantasy 14, I would rather talk about everything else you're into that you never get a chance to talk about. Happy, is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. I'm
Cool.
absolutely okay with that. I've got nothing to hide, so
Well, you just got into Elden Ring. Were you doing the Yoshi P challenge or something? You were done.
got
quick.
into it. Oh, yeah, I have no idea.
Never played Elden
how
Ring.
Into Elden Ring, I was.
I never
just
played Dark
got
Souls.
into it. Oh,
Well, I mean, I
man.
just mean the speed of which you seem to defeat
Oh, yeah,
said
just-
game and move on. You know.
Yeah. I've beaten Elden Ring like 15 times prior to the DLC coming out with like all different builds and like crowd controls and randomizers and everything. So when the DLC came out, I was like, this is pretty easy.
Nice.
Everyone's like, what's the difficulty so much? And I'm like, oh, that was pretty easy. That was fun. I was content with it. You know, it wasn't unbelievable.
Okay.
Good time.
All right.
Good time.
Well, now I want like spoiler-free impressions of Dawn Trail. Same style.
Same style. Well, so to be clear, with Dawn Trail, the way I handle expansion releases most of the time, Endwalker was the only exception to this, is I blast through the story, skipping everything. And then on a second character, I actually watch everything. I read it all. I voice all the characters if they're not voiced in scenes. And so I'm still playing through the story right now. I'm about at the level 95 point, so it's approximately halfway. And so my impressions early on are I love character building and I love world building. And there's a lot of that. So spoiler free, that's as most as I really want to say. I'm probably going to be in the liked it camp. It's a bit divisive at this point between a lot of people, but it definitely more appeals to me.
I'm kind of curious about that as a relative newcomer to Final Fantasy 14. is it always divisive out the gate? Because when I was new to it, when I was new to this game in general, I felt like I would be drawn and quartered if I said anything even remotely critical about the game. So I just felt it gave me an impression that it was just beloved, and that was kind of it. Now that I'm current for the like, I'm heading into an expansion for the first time ever as like a current player. Like when Endwalker was releasing, I was not even halfway through.
I feel like I'm picking up some momentum here.
So it wasn't even a little on my radar. So to me, then the almost 3-year journey I've been on with like catching up, I'm like, is this new? Is it new that it's divisive, or is it always divisive? And over time, the people that didn't like it, they got it out of their system in the first month, and we don't talk about it anymore.
So actually, kind of right there at the end, it's always divisive. Every decision every MMO makes is divisive, though. You know what I mean? Like, everyone who wants to be a part of the conversation has an opinion. That's fair and reasonable. Just a lot of people are not great at expressing it in a way that allows discussion. So it's very at your throat style, you know, crazy, especially close to expansion.
Gosh, it is so hot in my room.
What ends up happening, and the whole, if you say anything bad about it, you'll be criticized, is there's something that I, as a longtime creator, like to call emotional vampirism.
Nothing.
Yeah.
And it's essentially somebody wanting to absorb the emotions they want from you out of you. They're like, you need to have this experience so that I can feel that same thing again. And if you don't match that, it's like, oh, and there's a lot more. There's not emotional vampirism for things people don't like nearly as much as things people do like. You know, like people who are angry are like, yeah, be angry. They're like people who love it, the ones, oh, please love it. You know.
Yeah, I think I really only exist for Star Wars fans. I think beyond that, like you need to at least make the not liking it entertaining, like a Mystery Science Theater or a Red Letter Media. If you want folks to want to watch a reaction to something that is maybe not great, but yeah, I don't know. Well, that and Roland Emmerich keeps making movies, so what do I know? What do I know?
It's gonna keep coming up the whole show, isn't it?
Maybe they stopped. But and so I was going through your YouTube. I went back in time 11 years ago. Found you playing SimCity. Nice. Awesome.
Not
It's
the
not even
one
the first
everyone's
videos.
thinking of either. It's that bad, like the most recent SimCity.
11 years ago, recent. Yeah, I mean he's still correct. Yeah,
That's what they did such a bad job that they murdered the franchise for more than a decade.
yeah, yep, that's correct. And the best part about it was getting Mass Effect 3 for free.
Oh, that's right.
Apology game.
That was such they gave apology freebies. I forgot about that.
That was the Origin business, right? Where I own a couple games now and is now.
I think I got an older Dragon Age that I still to this day have never played.
Wonderful.
Probably
apology.
Inquisition then, I'd imagine.
That's the one.
No,
I
know
over
I
there.
bought Inquisition because that's the only
okay.
Dragon Age I have played. I think I got whatever the preview with Dragon Age 2.
Yeah,
probably. But
you
Well, just
played before Veilguard, the Veilguard. It's a new one.
yeah,
coming out.
the new Veilguard coming out.
2000.
We'll see about that. I don't know about that. But the show, long ago, 3 years ago, used to be a MOBA show about the Blizzard Entertainment Heroes of the Storm. And I see on here League of Legends. You got some League of Legends gameplay on here. I see 40-minute matches. Nice.
Yeah.
So what's the pipeline there? There's a little bit of just like, I'm just going to play. It's the Let's Play era. I'm not really like, oh, wow. What was the business choice?
Yeah, I feel like my trash is not
There was none yet because it wasn't a business.
doing as good.
But you made it through kind of this just like Let's Play. And then all of a sudden, and perhaps through archaeology, internet archaeology, you have a 14K, a Realm Reborn informational week 1. So something happened that made you go, Smite game. Oh, I'll play some Smite. Oh, I'll play some League of Legends. And then, I'm going to just like lay a flag weekly Final Fantasy 14 content.
So, got to back up a little further for that.
Ooh, excellent.
when I was 13, I was introduced to a wonderful PlayStation 2 MMORPG by the name of Final Fantasy 11.
Oh, you're one of those.
Final Fantasy 11.
I got it. I got a fat
Never played it.
PS2 with a hard drive in the back, and I stayed up till 6 a.m. installing it. The day that I got it, I remember it very vividly because I was tracking time by watching Rush Hour 2 over and over again. It's my movie of choice. I just watched Rush Hour 2 over and over again. I was like, okay, 2 hours have passed. Looks at timer. 2 more times I can watch this movie, and then it'll be done.
That's crazy, dude.
I used to do that with the first Kill Bill.
Yeah.
It would just over and over again.
Yeah. So then 6 a.m. rolled around. I started playing, and true story, I got banned in Final Fantasy. Well, I'm sorry, I didn't get banned. I almost got banned in Final Fantasy 11 with my very first character because I was.
How do you know if you almost get banned? Like, does
Because
someone
I had to
write you
delete the character.
Oh,
Yeah. Because
okay.
I thought I was being a clever 13-year-old, and I named my character I Did Your Mom. And that's apparently
Oh my gosh.
IDIDUR mom.
What?
All one letter.
Oh my gosh.
That you're not allowed to do that. And I'm like, I didn't know I couldn't do that. They're like, can you please change your name? I was like,
Nice.
yes.
You George Costanza?
Are you kidding me?
You're just like, is that frowned upon? I didn't know I wasn't allowed to do that.
Nice.
Yeah, I didn't know I wasn't allowed to do that. Yeah, so then of course I went with my backup, Mr. Happy, which I already had at that point.
In the pocket, it's perfect. Yeah,
That is such a 180 going from
Garrett, did you have one? Do you have one?
that I almost got banned for?
No, well, I was Al Capone, spelled Al Cap-one.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
No. I've been a Green Day reference since vanilla World of Warcraft because American Idiot was big when I started playing WoW. So no, I've had a bunch of hunters and paladins named Saint Jimmy. So yeah, and none of that carried over to 14 because I didn't think I was gonna like 14. So I named it after my favorite stupid Fast and Furious meme, and now I have a Warrior of Light that I absolutely adore called Tuna No Crust. So yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Kyle, now I'm curious, Kyle, were you ever almost banned or were you banned for anything in a game? Adult sprays and the original Counter-Strike.
I modded my Tauren Druid to not look like ass. And that was against the terms of service.
It
to,
was?
Like, install custom skins into World of Warcraft.
I didn't know that was against the EULA.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't think they cared.
Yeah.
They were just like, go nuts. Oh.
Because it wasn't a modding file. It was their art I was messing with.
I was on an arena team in WoW that the creator of got banned. I did not name it, but he named the I think it was a 2v2 team named the Twin Towers Should Have Bubbled. And he got banned for
Yikes.
3 months.
Smooth.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Why would you?
That I don't talk to that guy much anymore.
Yeah.
Why would you name that?
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
my.
I gotta give credit to Blizzard because I legitimately had nothing to do with it. I just like a friend asked me, "Hey, you want a 2v2?" And I was like, "Yeah," and that was the name. And I remember at the time thinking, I'll give you points because it's a 2v2, but other than that, this is a little
rough.
That's a bit much there, friend. And then I didn't see him in game for 3 months.
So you had the pipeline of Final Fantasy 11. You're breaking the EULA, but you're okay. Mr. Happy comes online, and you saw 14 coming in the background, or?
Yeah, so 1.0, the disaster that it was, they were kind of thinking 11 needed to be replaced, Square Enix. So 1.0 was built on the principle of moving players from 11 to 14. And so they made a lot of the same. That's why a lot of the races look the same. There's a lot of terminology that's saved over. But I mean, the game was just an absolute disaster. But being an 11 player, of course, I played 11 for all those years. I had to start with 1.0. And on August 27th of 2010, 1.0 released. I skipped class that day to go pick up my collector's edition of 1.0, which Funny thing, came with a mail-in birth certificate for one of the 3 starting city-states for your character names.
What?
Oh,
Yeah,
What-
they gave you a website, like a one-time use website to put in your character's name
Huh.
and birthday, and they would mail you like an Ulda birth certificate.
That's kind of cool.
I thought you filled out a birth certificate and mailed it to them. Okay, so
No.
other direction. Like, why? Why would you do that? Okay, never mind. I mean, it's
Still kind of cool though.
That is still a really bizarre
Unique.
keepsake in the like. I have gotten so much game swag in my life. That's up
A
there.
birth certificate's not on the list.
Yeah. That's
I wonder if I could take that to the DMV, use it as like a point of identification. Be like,
If
it
that
says
isn't-
here you're from Ulda.
If that isn't your next video on your channel, like hidden camera style, like I brought my Final Fantasy 14 birth certificate to the DMV, and here's what happened. Like that better be your next video.
I don't have the courage to do that. I don't think I could, because I'd have to go back there for like a real appointment at some point. You know, they'd be like, "That's the guy."
What? I'm so confused how that even works into like you played 1.0. Wait, this is 1.0, right? That you're
Yeah,
playing?
this is
Okay.
1.0s. Yeah. And then it was a disaster. I was one of the first level 50s in the game, which in 1.0 was something, to say the least. For those who don't know, in 1.0, you didn't level up your jobs by killing monsters. You had a character level and you had a job level or a class level, because we didn't even have jobs at that point. It was only like gladiator, thaumaturge. There was no black mage or anything. And every time you used a skill on an opponent, your class had a chance of getting experience points based on the level.
Oh, geez.
So you could kill like 20 enemies and never get
Any
points
experience?
off of
Oh,
them,
wow.
just on RNG alone. And so it took 2 months to get to level 50 because of that, with a full group of 8 playing 12 hours a day in college. So that was a wild time in my life, to say the least. Yeah. There's a reason it's not around anymore.
Yeah, I've heard so many legends about it, and I remember I had a friend in high school who was like obsessed with Final Fantasy 11. Like every time I saw him in class, that's all he wanted to talk about. But what he talked about doing didn't change very often, so I got the sense that the game was very one note, very grindy.
Well, it's not even that. It's they just kind of released. It didn't even work on most PCs because it was way too graphically intense and resource intensive. B,
That's
they
so
didn't
crazy.
really come up with a content release schedule because, of course, they didn't. They just expected whatever they did to work, kind of. And then Yoshi P took over, and they had to split resources between making 1.0 a playable game and making 2.0 at the same time. So, no, they really didn't do it. Pretty much, they would release a single new activity. It would be like, imagine if Ifrit hard mode was the only thing you got in a patch, essentially.
Yeah, that wouldn't be wonderful.
But was it randomized? Like, did it feel like the patch would just come out of nowhere, or?
Kind of, actually, yeah.
Okay,
A little bit.
I mean, that can generate news if people are playing. Also, the MMO news cycle wasn't exactly as it is today back then.
Well, it depends on the game, right? Like, because we came to 14 with like a WoW brain, and
Oh, man.
I love how predictable 14's patch cycle is. Like, I absolutely adore it, because you're coming from World of Warcraft. Like, yeah, it's kind of predictable depending on the expansion, depending on if they're going to tell you what's happening ahead of time or not, and also depending on if they actually hit their schedule. But then you also get into long periods of World of Warcraft endgame where they're just jack happens for upwards of a year and change. So
someone remembers Siege of Orgrimmar very well.
guess when I took the biggest break from World of Warcraft before Shadowlands. It was then. Yeah, it was like, I love that. It's like Mist was great, but I didn't end with a very positive feeling about it, because I was playing daily, and eventually you just get bored because you run out of things to do. Because the end of Mist, there was nothing for over a year. Honestly, the end of Wrath was kind of similar. They dropped Ruby Sanctum, but that was like a drop in an ocean in terms of content.
I remember that. Yeah, I pugged a lot of Ruby Sanctum.
Pretty sure that's when I
Coasting my
stopped
way till
playing
Cannabis.
WoW was
Yeah,
after Mist.
So that was like that was
It's been a
selling
minute.
point for me when Kyle, you were
Been a
trying
long
to
minute.
get me interested in 14. Was just like, hey man, they put out stuff at a regular clip. You know how many patches there'll be per expansion. And to me, as a WoW player, and remembering getting like 1.5 patches in Draenor, and one of them was like a selfie mode. It was like, oh man, that sounds great.
It's a double-edged sword. You know, it's an interesting one because as a content creator, it's like, excellent. I'm going to pace myself out. I'm going to make this, and this, and then we'll have this thing. And as an audience, it's predictable. It's understandable. But you are missing out on that hope aspect, which I think fuels a lot of MMO news creation, which is maybe this is the path. Maybe tomorrow I wake up and they fix my job. Like everything's different. Just it drops out of nowhere. You know, I'm going to stay highly invested in this thing I'm very frustrated with, just in case at any point everything changes.
That is an interesting point.
That was definitely what I was used. I mean, especially because going from 1.0 into 2.0, I mean, that was kind of where I just seized said opportunity. Because like so there's videos I think that aren't on my channel anymore. From like way back, because I used to like put my like computer, like my laptop screen, like up to.
I don't think I'm doing so hot with my trash,
because I didn't have any capture devices.
unfortunately.
So, like, that is so wholesome.
Yeah, so like I had like Kingdom Hearts 2 like final mix, like imported, like no damage boss fights on there, and I had like Final Fantasy 11 solos and stuff all recorded. On that same way, but then all those are gone, and the SimCity thing is pretty much the first thing you end up with when you look. I think there might be some Minecraft on there still somewhere too, and like League of Legends and a couple of other things that are from way back when.
So if you're doing 11 stuff, I'm assuming, because like I don't know your full history. You know, I've looked you up a little bit, but were you making 1.0 content?
No, I was still in college at the time, and then I started working in New York. And while I was in New York, I started getting closer to the space. It was around the time where like owned.tv came out, and then Justin had just released Twitch. So like, for example, I was watching a lot of League of Legends. Dyrus would have been the first streamer I think I would have watched long term. So at that point, it kind of just even crossed my mind in the first place. Like I'd always kind of wanted to do videos and do streaming and stuff like that, but like it just wasn't, the technology wasn't like widely accessible, and I didn't like have the money to like get into early streaming, you know? So it was just like, I just started making videos while I was working in IT because I was bored.
Okay.
That's how it goes in IT, yeah.
Yeah, like when I started working in IT, my first assignment was to watch all of the IT crowd before I was even allowed to take on an assignment from my manager. So
wait, legitimately?
Yeah, he said you have to watch the whole thing. It was like I won't give you any work until you watch the whole thing.
Sounds kind of chill. I love that show.
Yeah, it's a great show. The British version, of course, not the eventual American version.
I didn't know they did an American version.
No. Yeah, that doesn't sound
They
right.
released like I think the pilot, and they never did anything after that.
God, yeah,
the
that
American
sounds
version.
That sounds terrible. I would see the
Whoa.
opposite panned out, but I feel like that's the exception, not the rule.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's kind of this definitely wasn't the case with the IT crowd. No.
Yeah. Oh, that's freaking great. That's not a bad prerequisite.
No. And then so I started doing the information because I was like, no one's making content on this. Like I was really invested in the idea of 2.0. You know, we had already seen the posts, the plans, the ideas, and I was just like, nobody's talking about it yet, so I'll talk about it. So timing was good, but honestly, what I actually attribute to probably the biggest, I guess, fuel on the fire, I was doing charity work with Save the Children, and I was doing streams for them on another channel, and through that channel, people wanted to know who I was, so I got my YouTube to 1,000 subscribers like that, and that's when you can start monetizing it. And I had just lost my job in New York because Vodafone bought out the company and got rid of 2/3 of the employees. Of course they did. Yeah. No surprises there, huh?
Yeah. That's unfortunate.
Yeah. startups being acquired, always a fun time.
Yeah.
That back to those YouTube recommendations. You may have noticed I watch a lot of car content, and the biggest channels right now are imploding because they were purchased and just being. All the money is going to the installed CEOs that shareholders put in power, and so it's interesting over in that YouTube space right now. But,
oh boy.
Yeah, this is like what we talked about when we had dinner at Media Tour. Courtesy of Jesse, who was like keeping the conversation going as if he was hosting a podcast, but no one had recording devices on them. We every single one of us were talking about how we started in this, and there was definitely a running theme of losing jobs or never getting jobs in the first place.
Yeah, pretty much. And I was young, out of college with a lot of debt. So I was just like, well, I have nothing else going on. So I might as well make YouTube videos. Now I can even make money doing it. And I guess at that point, the rest is history. My first real stream in Final Fantasy content was a couple months later. And then I was partnered by May of the following year. And it's been full time for over 10 years now.
So
That's so crazy.
Post 2.0.
Yes, I think I was in 2.1 when I was partnered on Twitch.
Nice, man. That's a long time ago. At this point,
yeah,
that's great. Yeah, you were in the early days of Twitch.tv. I still remember when that was a new thing, and probably the worst take I've ever, like the wrongest take I've ever had. Everyone thinks the wrongest take I've ever had is that I wasn't going to play Final Fantasy 14. That's what everybody memes on. But I remember Twitch coming out and thinking, no one's going to want to watch people play video games. Like, why would I watch someone play a game when I could just go play the game myself? And how wrong was I?
Yep.
Podcast, and that's for people who are busy and in cars and can't play videos. Clearly, everyone would just play video games. I did the same thing, too. I didn't want to be on video all the time. I love picking my nose too much. It was a problem, but we're doing okay now.
You're just digging for gold. You were trying to find the riches up there. That's fine.
I see, like, there's this definitely, like, window on your...
Yo, thanks for the follow.
Where, like, you did all the 101 job guides. And that seems like that was kind of a back-to-back, like...
Thank you for the follow. XX Silent Keeper.
Actually, we can make big deductions. Let's just, do the internet thing and say, nobody likes Conjurer. No one liked that in 1 or 2.
Well, my alert worked, so that's a positive.
But so now we can kind of go back, now that we have that history, now that we've kind of seen your through point, even heard some World of Warcraft in there. This is just pretty much par for the course. A new expansion comes out. There's some grumbles about it. You've been through this actually one more time than most now. So Dawn Trail seems okay. Seems like it's going okay.
Dawn Trail is definitely the best release we've had in a while. Dawn Trail was under kind of 2 extra levels of scrutiny that it needed to face. So we've had good expansion launches before. Heavensward and Shadowbringers were both smooth, whereas A Realm Reborn and Stormblood and Endwalker were not. Endwalker was the first expansion under, I think, a major popularity light that got blasted by its poor launch. So Dawn Trail needed to be the yin to the yang.
Gosh, this Final Fantasy talk makes me want to go play Final Fantasy again.
Disaster. So the fact that they had some issues, Xbox version barely working, crashing every like 30 minutes, definitely not ideal. A few other blunders with some bugs in game. And obviously people have their ups and downs about their job changes, but overall smoothness has been really good. Environments, encounters, and music, of course. Like the overall impression has been really positive. It's been a good launch. It's been a good time, and it's a good time to be in a positive headspace about 14.
I'm glad to hear that, because we barely scratched the surface, and I guess I probably should have led with this disclaimer. So if you're worried about spoilers, we're not doing any Dawn Trail spoilers today. If we get into any other 14 story spoilers, we'll shove them in the show, but I'm not even sure.
Finally got an event.
Today. So
I needed that.
Also, it seems like none of us sitting here have actually experienced the Dawn Trail story, so we can't really spoil it.
Yeah, and then if I want to talk about something later on, I just won't use its name. Like EX2, it's like Extreme Trials. We usually refer to them by like a numerical number, EX1, EX2, Final MSQ Dungeon. Some generic kind of holdover.
How's the difficulty actually on some of that stuff?
I might be the worst person to ask. because I've played for as much as I have, so I'm a bit skewed. I don't think the difficulty is necessarily any higher, but I think the way that all the encounters interact with their surroundings is more engaging.
Okay.
Which
I like that.
it makes it so that even if you know how the game works, you get more of those like I died because I didn't know what it did kind of moments. So as a longtime player looking for a challenge, that's a little more exciting than I saw a stack marker or a spread marker or a line AoE to dodge. Like so that extra level of engagement takes what is not necessarily something that's more difficult and makes it a little bit more fun, at least for now, until we get used to it. If they start following patterns and then it becomes just another thing that's part of the norm, but that's to be seen.
Okay.
That's something they said they were very interested in, that they felt like the game had become too predictable visually and they wanted to diversify that. So you're definitely feeling that on your end.
Yes.
Man, Ogre's taking forever to kill.
And I actually think they didn't
Come
do
on.
that poor of a job with that in Endwalker. I can think of a lot of
There we
really
go.
creative visual encounters that they made,
Jeez.
stuff that's very fight specific, even if in the end it functions like everything else. But there's definitely a different bar being set here.
All right, this
With the frequency
should
of it.
help increase my
camera is
trash.
just as much a part of the boss fight because I need to be able to look over there, or look back there and see something, and then the boss is doing something. So it's like I feel like I'm just more engaged than just, the boss is doing this thing. I'll move slightly to the left because I've done it a million times.
How you feeling on the? Well, let's just go one at a time so we don't throw the whole kitchen sink at you. But how you?
I'm trying to think
feeling
what the average trash is here.
So I was
I'll have to
one of the
look.
people
I can't
less
remember.
thrilled about Viper to begin with. I felt like it lacked a real job identity.
It's been so
It was
long
like
since I
I
did the
finished
guide video
Siege
on
really
this
quickly,
spot.
and I put them together sometimes, and that was kind of its entire identity.
I mean, that's the fantasy for some. Like,
I feel like I'm
every
definitely
fantasy
below
works
the
in
average,
Swords,
though.
And that's I can
Which is
tell
so
you straight,
weird.
Yeah, kind of business. Love it.
And with that, I think it did a good job. I think it's more defined by its gameplay than its aesthetics, which I think are not very unique, not very interesting. But the gameplay itself is fun and fast. Now we know they're making adjustments to it already because apparently it's too busy for a lot of people. They're removing some positional requirements from things and adjusting some other skills, but we're still very much in the dark about what that actually means. So my initial impressions are not for me, but I definitely see the value in the experience it brings versus other jobs, which is a good thing. You want different experiences. That matters more than the job aesthetics and the identity. It's the experience that matters a little bit more.
Well, that's the perfect one to go into the next one where the aesthetic is really a big deal for many. The Pictomancer. How you feeling on that?
Picto's a beast. Absolute monster. Tearing. It's ruining everyone else's perception of every other job in the game.
Okay, that tracks. That's a MOBA usual.
That's not that usual for 14. Like 14 normally has a pretty strong introduction for jobs nowadays. Way back when, it actually had really, like when Ninja came out, it had a really positive track record, but like all the Heavensward jobs were like universally hated upon release, and Stormblood Samurai really struggled, and Red Mage was only kind of okay. But from Shadowbringers on, even without being overpowered, they've all had a pretty good initial impression. Like Dancer wasn't overpowered when it came out, but it had a really good impact on the game. Gunbreaker, on the other hand, pretty strong when it came out. And Reaper,
Just sounds like a cool
Reaper
class.
thought was strong, but as more people played it, they're like, oh no, like
Yeah, Reaper's
it's
pretty
just-
cool looking.
It's on par, maybe a little below. Like now that everyone's more experienced with everything, so it's in a good spot. But no, Picto is like, it was fine at Media Tour, and now they've gone too far. They've gone way too far.
I'm having a lot of fun being able to just fire off like historical questions with you because I only have roughly 3 years of experience, and none of that has been spent at endgame, so I haven't been in an endgame headspace.
Yeah.
We've just been doing catch up. Now I forgot where I was going with this. Oh, what in your mind? Because obviously it's your experience. Like, can't speak for everybody, but I would love you to try. What is the expectation from long-term 14 players when a new job comes? Do you feel the community as a whole kind of generally puts? Do they care more about about actual like power, or do they care more about the theme? Do they care more about it feeling unique compared to other jobs?
I think that's mixed. I think that's you'd expect that's mixed. People may see it visually and decide that they want to try it, and then they might stick with it. They might not because of the gameplay. Some people may not pick it up because they think it looks silly and not for them, and then they find out it's strong, and now they got to learn it. I would say there's no one dominant factor for that, but I think Picto's relative strength compared to its competitors is pulling a lot more people in right now than its aesthetics necessarily.
It's got to be exciting for some, though. I mean, you've been Black Mage for how many years, and all of a sudden, hey, can you play this brand new thing? And that's probably selling point.
Black Mages aren't as thrilled about it.
No. They've got an identity. They want to stand in their circles, and they don't want to shoot big art. That's not their jam. But as a business, and we saw this throughout, usually like around like 2014, it's like every single MOBA, this would be like League of Legends, Dota, Here's the Storm. They all went, oh my goodness, we need to stop releasing balanced characters. We need to make sure they're actually rocking so people will buy them. So do you feel like the game has kind of just been like, let's leave them a little overtuned, and so everyone has a good time on release?
Yeah.
No,
They always make OP classes at the very beginning. It's every game.
For example,
I feel like.
it was strong. The only nerf it received was to its healing, which its barrier.
Except for this class, I feel like has been not broken.
That was all they ever nerfed about it. And then every other job, even before the other jobs received buffs, they started picking up. And that seems to be kind of the place where people expect it to go. They expect the early adopters to make it look way stronger than it is because there's a high volume of people playing it and producing opinions on it versus the other jobs. But the expectation is that it's in line with the other jobs in its own role once everything levels out.
What does balance look like historically? Because I know, like, they've already in Media Tour, they were already talking about, like, expect a bunch of job stuff in 8.0. Like, they're already, from what I experienced, talking about, years down the road. But what has it been like historically as someone who's played, obviously since 1.0, but let's just talk about modern Final Fantasy 14. Let's just use the Black Mage isn't doing as much damage as Pictomancer as an example. Do you expect them to adjust that between now and the next expansion, or do they tend to
it was the
sit on things
Pictomancer
for a long period of time and try not and they don't do a lot of micro tweaks?
So they do micro tweaks, but they definitely still sit on those tweaks too long relative to the feedback they're getting.
Okay.
Great example of this is definitely we never get like a blast balance patch because something happened, unless it's like detrimental to the state of the game. We are getting balance updates on the 16th. We are getting them on the 30th, for example, this month. After that, it's like every 4 months is like an average expect. Okay. And sometimes they'll hold off the whole expansion. Be like, we'll put that in the next expansion one. Okay, great example of that. Dark Knight.
Almost done.
Endwalker, going into Endwalker,
Finish strong.
Shadowbringers. Dark Knight had a problem with blood weapons.
Finish strong.
Where it was.
We'll do one more. We'll do this right here.
It was very clunky to try to make sure you got all the uses out of it because it just lasted 10 seconds, and if you didn't get all of your hits in that 10 seconds, you were screwed. Like, it was just such a downgrade. And then going into Endwalker, they didn't change it. And everyone had been talking about it all expansion. It was something that was super expected. And the same could also be said about Machinist in 6.0, which they still waited even longer to change. And I even asked at a Media Tour, I was like, yeah, Dark Knights are wondering why all these other jobs got.
All right, we'll call it there.
But Dark Knight just didn't. They were like, well, not every job needs to be the same. And I'm just like, yeah, but they've tasted what it's like to have the good version of this, where it's just like 5 charges and your ping doesn't.
All right. So we got 19.8K. Trash. I don't know. I feel like I've done better with Striker. Let's see. Where's Giants at? Where are you at? There it is, Primal Giant. So it looks like, yeah, it looks like my average was like 24, 25,000. So 19, 830, 300, 157, 7, 8, 10, 2. So 634 million. That's a shame. Huh. Yep. Interesting. Alrighty. Well, not too bad. Not too great. So, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not really sure how much more better I could have done there. Just the initial kind of like this, like the shift skills is fine, but you know, like right here, these skills right here, it's just kind of slow. And so I'm not sure. I don't know if getting to level 62 would help a little bit more. Also getting some of that extra special attack damage, maybe. I'm not sure there either. I'm not sure. I don't know. But alrighty. Well, YouTube, I am going to peace out. Hope y'all have a good night and a good day tomorrow. And thanks for coming by and hanging out with me for these couple of hours. And yeah, have a good day tomorrow. Peace.